fight card stacked from top to bottom. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje is going to be incredible. And I'm going to take you through all the action step by step as every fight goes on. I'm going to give you a breakdown, tell you who won, who did what wrong, who was amazing, and all the rest of it. So let's get started. All right, so we just did an hour-long broadcast hyping up the main card. But the first fight of the prelims is just about to start. Now, if you didn't know, obviously it's on Paramount Plus.
This ends with a division split in half, and a result people are already whispering could get overturned. And yeah, I said it, overturned. Now rewind hard, because you need to understand how one single moment detonated everything you think you just watched, and why the fallout is only starting to crawl out of the shadows right now.
About to start. Now, if you didn't know, obviously it's on Paramount Plus. Things have changed. No more pay-per-view, of course. We all know that. The bonuses have been doubled, and any fight's a bonus or not. If you get a finish, lights have gone dark. If you get a finish, you get a $25,000 bonus as well. As we can see, first fight of the night, Ty Miller taking on Adam Fugit. Welterweight division. Ty Miller making his debut. I'll be back to you in a second when this one's played out. Fugit just landed a nice spinning elbow, didn't land flush, but Ty Miller putting it together nicely. Still play. Oh! Drops him hard!
I'm telling you, this didn't begin with punches. It began with fingers, open fingers, drifting where they absolutely do not belong. And when Justin Gaethje's hand slid into Paddy Pimblett's eye, the entire arena felt it before the ref even moved. Because chaos has a sound, and that sound was thousands of people realizing something irreversible might have just happened.
Hokit is underway, and it looks like this one could be over, because Hokit is all over Freeman here. Took him down, he's pounding him, ragdolling him around, landing big shots, ground and pound. There's still just over a minute left in the round, but it is not looking good for Denzel Freeman. Anyway, I got to get back to the desk. So, hold on. Say hello, everybody. There we go. Yeah, here we are on the not the ESPN desk, the Paramount desk. The UFC 324. What do we think, boys? Weidman? Oh.
You saw it too. Don't lie. You paused the screen, you squinted, you rewound, because it was right there on replay. Clean, ugly, undeniable. And the second Mark Goddard stepped in, the tension didn't drop, it multiplied. Because now the question wasn't what happened, but what was about to be allowed to happen next.
Charles Johnson dropped him in the first round with a beautiful left up, and then just went on the attack, gave him no respect whatsoever, beat him like he owed him money, beat him like he was talking shit about his mom, because we know everyone's getting offended at that stuff these days. I'm telling you, Alex Perez just came back with a bang. Yeah, he missed weight. He dropped him with the left hook, picked him apart, beautiful boxing. The referee, Jason Herzog, steps in at the end, pushes Alex Perez away to save Charles Johnson from any more damage. 3 first-round knockouts in a row. Next fight, Modestas Bukauskas taking on Nikita Krylov. I love Modestas. Nice guy. He's on a roll. I think he's won 4 in a row.
Paddy clutching his eye wasn't acting, and Gaethje standing there stone still wasn't innocence. It was that eerie calm fighters get when they know they're dancing on a line and betting the house the ref won't push back, and nah, tell me I'm wrong, but doesn't that feel planned, or at least accepted? Because this is where things start to smell off.
Big fan of Modestas, lovely guy, but Krylov is a really tough guy. Modestas will learn from it, he'll be back. After that, we had a very, very scary Atabi Gauthier going up against Andre Puyaev. Now, normally, Atabi Gauthier knocks people out first round. 1 shot is all it takes. The fight starts. 1 shot drops Puyaev. But Puyaev gets back to his feet, didn't he, Chris?
This is the best YouTube channel ever, bro.
It is.
It's amazing.
You know,
I think you should be streaming live. I think the fans would love it.
No, we're not messing around, Chris. Although, we did do a demo yesterday.
We did do a demo.
I think people got excited.
It was great. It was great. It was great.
Here's where the loop tightens, because the commentators confirmed it out loud. I pull, no hesitation, and suddenly the whole broadcast shifted from fight analysis to moral trial. And you could feel the crowd turning like a tide, because once people think they're watching injustice, they never unsee it.
The Dominator, Dominic Cruz.
And I do believe I'm going to get an exclusive. The first ever interview. Here he is. Here he is. Look at this guy.
If there's one guy who could pimp me out, it would be this guy.
Oh, 100%. Dominic, how's it feel, buddy?
I don't know, man. You tell me. How did it feel for you, honestly? Let's see if we can relate on this. For you, how was it?
Well, let's do this. We're both on.
please.
Well, that's very kind of you. It was a shock, but I don't know if I expected it, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean? I was like, I paid my dues.
Yeah.
I fought for long enough.
Yeah.
I've got the injuries. I've got.
And then it happened, the warning only, no point, no punishment, no balance restored, and listen closely, because this is the part nobody wants to say. That decision didn't just affect the round, it rewrote the rest of the fight in real time, and everyone in that cage knew it.
Obviously, after the fight, John Silver likes a good cry before the fight, on the way to the fight, in the fight, during the fight, after the fight, speaking to Joe Rogan. Then he apologizes to Arnold Allen for no reason whatsoever. Joe Rogan insisted on knowing why, but he wouldn't give him an answer because John Silver's mental, and that's why we love him.
But why was he apologizing?
So congrats to John Silver, or Lord Silver, and commiserations to Arnold. But Arnold, if you see this, be proud of yourself, man. John Silver he's a madman. He's technical, he's powerful, and you pushed him to the absolute limit, and that was a tremendous matchup. Right, we're moving on.
Gaethje pressed harder after that like he'd just been handed permission. Elbows heavier, pressure meaner, confidence swelling. And Paddy fought on pure will through compromised vision, which sounds heroic until you realize that's exactly how careers get shortened quietly without anyone admitting it later.
It was a high-paced, highly technical affair, but I think the judges got it wrong. But hey, listen, fair play to Natalia Silva, commiserations to Thug Rose. A great fight regardless. All right, so Derek Lewis just got knocked out by the Salsa Boy in the second round. Derek Lewis, of course, the knockout king. He was trying to knock out Waldo Cortez Acosta with every single bloody shot that he threw. I can't walk that way. There's fans that are going to accost me, like Waldo Acosta, Cortez Acosta. Listen, Waldo was more technical. He was throwing the jab. He was nice 1-2s, going to the body. Whereas
Ask yourself this and don't dodge it. If that poke happens to a different fighter in a different country, does the ref still swallow the whistle? Because people are already connecting dots they shouldn't have to connect. And somewhere backstage, someone is praying certain camera angles never get slowed down again. You think this ends when the bell rings, but it doesn't, because now every exchange gets filtered through that moment. Every drop, every wobble, every survival feels tainted, and even Gaethje's dominance starts carrying an asterisk that's growing teeth the longer people talk about it. Here's the part that keeps me up. The silence after. No apology, no explanation, no slip of the tongue excuse, just nothing. And silence in this sport is never empty, it's loaded. And I'm hearing from people who say something else happened between rounds that we haven't seen yet. Paddy surviving became the story, but surviving through what exactly? Because fighting blind is not toughness, it's desperation, and the crowd knew it, booing not because they hate Gaethje, but because they hate feeling played. And don't pretend that reaction doesn't matter, because history remembers nights like this. I keep circling when ugly thought, what if that foul was the insurance policy, not the plan, but the backup, because when pressure stalls and momentum wobbles, some fighters reach. And the terrifying part is knowing how often that reach goes unpunished. People are already messaging me saying the commission is reviewing clips, saying doctors said things off camera, saying the swelling was worse than broadcast let on, and I don't know what's true yet, but I know this story is not done breathing. Even the win announcement felt wrong. Too fast, too clean, like everyone wanted to move on before questions got louder, but questions don't disappear. They stack, and when they fall, they crush legacies whether that's fair or not. Gaethje might have been the better man tonight. Maybe he wins anyway, maybe he dominates regardless. But that's not the point anymore, and that's the real disaster. Because one moment hijacked the narrative, and now nobody controls where it goes. So sit with that to unease, because until we hear what the doctors file, what the commission decides, and what footage leaks that wasn't meant to, this fight isn't history, it's a live wire. And something tells me the next update is going to hit harder than anything that landed in that cage. What I keep coming back to is how moments like this expose the fragile contract between fighters, refs, and fans. Because we all agree to believe in fairness until something snaps and suddenly belief turns into suspicion. And once that door opens, it never fully closes again. I've watched this sport long enough to know when a night feels off, and this one felt off from the second the replay looped. Because the more you watch it, the less accidental it looks. And that's a dangerous feeling to plant in millions of viewers at once. People want things clean and simple. Winner and loser, good and bad. But MMA has always lived in the gray, and that gray gets darker when enforcement isn't consistent, because consistency is the only thing that keeps chaos from becoming policy. I'm not saying Justin Gaethje is some villain mastermind that's lazy thinking, but I am saying veterans know how far they can push, and sometimes knowing the limits means knowing how to step just past them without triggering consequences. Paddy Pimblett walking forward through that adversity earned respect, but it also raised a quiet question about how much damage we normalize just to keep the show moving, because toughness shouldn't require silence from officials. Every time the UFC sells the best fighting the best, nights like this test that slogan, because the best competition in the world also deserves the best oversight, and when oversight blinks, even once the entire product trembles. I keep thinking about the ref's position, the split-second decisions, the pressure of the crowd, the weight of the moment, but accountability doesn't disappear just because the environment is loud and fast. Fans aren't stupid, no matter how often promotions act like they are, and when thousands of people independently feel something was wrong, that collective instinct usually comes from somewhere real. What bothers me most is how quickly the narrative tried to shift afterward, how highlights skipped the foul and rushed to the finish. Like editing could erase discomfort, but discomfort has a way of leaking through cracks. This sport already fights public perception battles every year, and incidents like this hand critics ammunition because they can point and say this is what happens when entertainment outruns regulation. I've seen careers swing on moments smaller than this. Opportunities vanish, confidence fracture, and while one fighter moves on another, quietly carries the cost. And that imbalance is never shown on the tail of the tape. There's also the locker room ripple effect, because fighters watch closely, they learn what gets punished and what doesn't, and that lesson shapes behavior whether anyone admits it or not. If commissions don't address situations like this clearly, they send a message without words, and silence can be louder than fines, louder than statements, louder than press conferences. I don't want overturned results for drama's sake, but I do want transparency, because transparency is the only thing that restores trust once it's been cracked. The worst outcome isn't controversy, it's normalization, when moments like this stop feeling shocking and start feeling expected, because that's when the sport loses part of its soul. MMA thrives on rawness and danger, but there's a line between danger and negligence, and nights like this force us to ask who's responsible for guarding that line when adrenaline is high. I also think about the fighters' families watching, trying to understand what's fair and what's not, because for them this isn't content, it's someone they love bleeding under bright lights. No matter how this gets resolved, the memory sticks, and years from now people will still say, remember that fight, not because of technique or brilliance, but because something didn't sit right. That's the real loss here, because great fighters deserve to be remembered for skill, not controversy, and fans deserve clarity instead of debates fueled by slow-motion replays. Until the sport tightens these moments, nights like this will keep happening, and every time they do, they shave a little trust off the top, and trust is the one thing this sport can't afford to keep losing.